Good morning, I'm the Reverend Stephen Page of St. Patrick's Anglican Church. Our radio devotionals this month are sports-inspired. If you missed any of our series, check out our blog at pladdeggnog.blogspot.com, and we've also posted these on YouTube as well. Today let's start with a question. What do Conn Smythe, Bob Feller, and Roger Staubach have in common? Now, if this were a live broadcast, I might have a prize for something like the fourth caller with the correct answer. But it's not, and I don't. Conn Smythe, he was the owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs from the 20s to the 60s in the NHL. This was a time when the Leafs actually won 8 Stanley Cups. I wonder what that was like. Bob Feller, he pitched for the Cleveland Indians from the 30s to the 50s, and in his career he won 266 games. And Roger Staubach, he played quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys from 1969 to 1979, and he won the Super Bowl twice in that time. So what do these three have in common? Well, for one thing, they are all in the halls of fame of their respective sports. But that's not what I was after, because they have another thing in common as well. Smythe, Feller, and Staubach, they all stepped away from their chosen sports for a time to serve a higher cause. In particular, they all spent significant time with their country's military. Conn Smythe, he was the captain of the University of Toronto Varsity Blues hockey team, very familiar with the little rubber pucks. He even led his university team to a championship in the OHA. But this was 1915, in the early days of World War I, and a week after they won the title, Smythe and several of his teammates enlisted in the military. He went overseas, first with the artillery, then with the Air Force. His plane was shot down, and he spent 14 months as a prisoner of war in that First World War. And then years after his return, he became a key businessman in the Canadian sports scene. So that's Conn Smythe. Bob Feller, the baseball pitcher, he broke into the big leagues at the age of 17. He pitched a no-hitter. He set the record for strikeouts in a game. He led the league in wins 3 times. If you ever get cynical about the big bucks of modern athletes, remember that when Bob Feller signed his first contract, he was paid a signing bonus of $1 plus an autographed baseball. Well, in 1941, the day after Pearl Harbor was bombed, Feller enlisted in the U.S. Navy. He missed the next 3 seasons while he served aboard the USS Alabama in World War II. And when he returned, he continued to play well. He led the league in wins and strikeouts several more times. That's Bob Feller. And then Roger Staubach, the football player, he won the Heisman Trophy in 1963 as the best player in the U.S. college leagues. He led his college team, in fact, to the number 2 ranking in the whole country. But when his college days at the Naval Academy ended, he then spent several years in Vietnam. And upon his return, he joined the Dallas Cowboys. He made his way through the depth charts to become the starter, and he never looked back after that, leading the Cowboys to their first 2 Super Bowl titles. So all 3, Feller, Staubach, Smythe, they all willingly made sacrifices, risking their lives and their careers to serve the higher cause of their country and their people. And their examples, and those of others like them, they inspire me, they inspire us all. Now, there is, of course, an even higher cause than serving our country. I'm thinking of serving our God and working with God in directly and actively loving and serving the people around us. I have some Mormon relatives, and we disagree a lot with our very different understandings of who God is, but I admire a great deal the commitment that they make to missions. When Mormons turn 19 or 20, they often will dedicate 2 years to mission work somewhere in the world. I feel a little embarrassed, as you can imagine, that in my church some will check Anglican on the census form, but are not committed enough to even come to church on Sunday, never mind this impressive 2-year commitment to mission work. Now, you may not need to give up years of a career or risk life and limb like our athlete examples who joined the military. I mean, maybe that will be your way of serving God's higher cause. But you can also serve God's great cause in the world right where you are, with a daily commitment of your whole self. I think of the great hymn, When I Survey the Wondrous Cross, and it invites us to think about Jesus and the commitment that he made to us. One verse says, "Love so amazing, so divine, demands my soul, my life, my all." I sometimes find that a hard verse to sing. I want to respond to God's love, to all that Jesus has done for me. But loving God with my whole heart, my whole soul and mind and strength, as Jesus calls us to in Mark chapter 12, that can be challenging. I need your help as I seek to uphold my commitment to the higher cause of God. And I bet you need my help as well and could benefit from my help. Hey, why don't we work together to encourage one another and help one another? Let's get together sometime. How's Sunday morning at 10:30 sound? See you then? For St. Patrick's Church, I'm Stephen Page.